Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. New Western TV series highlights the harsh reality of Taylor Sheridan's Yellowstone. In early January, Netflix released a brand new Western TV show that has been gaining traction with viewers, and unfortunately, its success highlights a major issue with Taylor Sheridan's Yellowstone franchise. The Western genre has long been a pillar of entertainment, ranging from the days of John Wayne to more recent entries like No Country for Old Men and Bone Tomahawk. Since 2018, Yellowstone has brought neo-Western stories to the small screen, following the Dutton family as they grapple for control of their Wyoming ranch. Yet Yellowstone is not necessarily a pinnacle of the true Western. At the moment, Netflix is racking up incredible viewership on its new series, American Primeval. Created by Mark L. Smith, who wrote movies like The Revenant and Twisters, this Western follows a mother and son fleeing their dark past in Utah. However, their intentions are muddied by the growing war between the Mormon religion and Wild West culture. With a solid 63% on Rotten Tomatoes and a spot on Netflix's top series of the week, American Primeval is gaining serious attention. Though this is great for the series, it also shines a light on what other modern Westerns are missing. After watching American Primeval, it becomes abundantly clear that Yellowstone and its consequent spin-offs are not as Western as they may appear to be. In fact, they veer more towards soap operas than true Westerns. Despite being set in the American West and including elements of classic cowboy culture, Yellowstone is much more concerned with the family dynamics and politics of the Dutton's town. Even with the show's occasional violence and fierce attitude, it is hard to ignore that Yellowstone's core is family, not the lone cowboy or the morally gray hero. Looking back over Yellowstone's 5 seasons, the biggest obstacle for the show's Westernness has been John Dutton. With superstar Kevin Costner in this leading role, it seems as though Sheridan wanted Yellowstone to revolve around the Dutton patriarch. He is the ultimate cowboy and the sun around which the other characters revolve. However, for better or for worse, Sheridan has populated Yellowstone with other characters that are far more interesting than John. In this way, Yellowstone does not follow the typical Western storyline and instead offers the type of ensemble work that often appears in soap operas. Compared to Yellowstone, American Primeval feels far more like a true Western series. The show is gritty, gruesome, and filled with historical value that Yellowstone simply doesn't provide, at least not in its main series. This isn't to say that American Primeval is the best Western around, but it certainly follows the tracks that one would expect from a conventional Western. There are heroes and villains, intense shootouts, and violence around every corner. Although American Primeval also boasts a strong ensemble of characters, they are not weighed down by modern archetypes or ideas. They are truly Western. In reality, this is what really sets American Primeval apart from Yellowstone. Yellowstone may have the right setting and the right themes, but its time period makes it difficult for the show to feel like the Westerns audiences know and love. American Primeval benefits from its Utah setting, but it goes the extra mile by also being set in the 1850s, and pulling from American Primeval's true history. Neo-Westerns certainly make for interesting stories, and Yellowstone isn't bad by any means, but it feels fundamentally different from Westerns that are set during the actual Wild West time period, like American Primeval. Overall, Yellowstone's failings are not entirely the show's fault. Westerns are very hard to get right in the modern day. As previously mentioned, neo-Westerns can have all the fixings of a great Western, but without that old-timey setting, it can feel like any other story. Generally, successful Westerns rely on the fact that the Wild West was a different time. It was a brutal era full of feuding groups and hard-won survival. This is entertaining to watch, but it doesn't quite match the modern day. The Dutton family do not have to fight to survive in the same way cowboys did. In this way, neo-Westerns like Yellowstone may never feel like true Westerns, as hard as they try to recreate the cowboy stereotype through characters like John Dutton or Rip Wheeler. These men will never face the kind of turmoil that actually occurred in the Wild West. Their problems simply do not align with those of men from the 1850s. Thus, the Western genre is firmly rooted in the past. As hard as Yellowstone may try, it cannot evoke the same over-the-top violent atmosphere as American Primeval. A new Western TV series has arrived, offering a deeper, grittier look at the world Taylor Sheridan masterfully created in Yellowstone. This bold, new drama takes a more intimate and unrelenting approach to the themes of land, power, and the American frontier, expanding the narrative set in Sheridan's universe, while also exposing the harsh truths behind the polished facade of Yellowstone. While Yellowstone introduced audiences to the volatile Dutton family, their sprawling ranch, and the often fatal stakes of protecting both, this new series strips away the grandeur and gives viewers a raw, behind-the-scenes view of the complex dynamics that drive the relentless conflicts in Sheridan's world. It's a series that doesn't just glorify the cowboy lifestyle, it confronts the harsh realities of it, showing the cost of survival, the weight of tradition, and the high price of ambition. The premise of this new show revolves around the idea that Yellowstone often romanticizes the old ways of the West, idealizing its stoic heroes and ruthless villains. It takes place in the same universe, but rather than focusing on the elite Duttons or wealthy landowners, the series shifts its lens to the everyday people caught in the crossfire of the Duttons' battles and the larger, ever-changing landscape of the American West. The series is set in the small, desolate town of Willard, a once thriving mining hub that has now become a symbol of the slow decay of the frontier. The story follows a diverse group of characters trying to carve out a future amidst the dust and rubble. They are hardworking, gritty individuals who find themselves fighting for survival, their livelihoods threatened by land developers, government officials, and the shadow of the Dutton family's growing empire. These characters range from aging ranchers to struggling farmers and even disillusioned former cowboys. Each person is struggling with the relentless march of time and the constant pressure of holding onto what little they have. At the core of the show is the character of Sam McCoy, a middle-aged cowboy who once worked the Dutton Ranch before being pushed out in favor of younger, more loyal hands. He's a man who has lived through the rise and fall of countless ranching dynasties, but now finds himself working menial jobs just to make ends meet. Sam's journey is one of personal reckoning. He struggles with his fading identity as a cowboy and the harsh reality of what the modern world has done to the West. It's a world where tradition is dying, and those who hold onto it are often left behind. One of the show's strongest points is its portrayal of the land. Sheridan's Yellowstone has always had a love affair with wide open spaces and sweeping landscapes, where the land itself is as much a character as any human. But this new series doesn't romanticize these spaces, it highlights the difficulties of living on them. The land is unforgiving, and the series shows how the changing weather patterns, limited water resources, and shifting economies impact the people who depend on it. The struggle for water rights, the fight for grazing land, and the dangers of cattle ranching are depicted in ways that make Yellowstone seem almost like a fairy tale in comparison. This is a world where everyone has a price, and every action has a consequence. Characters are forced to make impossible choices, whether to sell out to corporate interests or stand firm and face destruction. The series doesn't shy away from depicting the social and environmental costs of the Duttons' desire for more. Land grabs, manipulation of politics, and exploitation of resources are all part of the daily struggle. These are people who live by the same rules that Yellowstone explores. Only here, there is no glamorous escape to a luxury cabin or ranch. It's a life built on sweat, toil, and sometimes despair. The series also delves into the psychological toll of living in a world where survival is a constant game. Characters often have to face the emotional and mental repercussions of their decisions, as well as the trauma passed down through generations. PTSD from wars, both on the battlefield and in the ranching world, haunts many of the characters, and their relationships reflect the scars they carry. There's a real darkness here, much more than Yellowstone has been willing to explore. Betrayals are not just about land or money, they cut deeper, leaving lasting marks on families and communities.